Hey everyone, it's the Sith Justice Warriors coming at you with another Fun Day Sunday.
Sunday
I
fun days.
Sunday Fun Day. I
Sunday
like Sun.
football.
Don't get started on the Eagles. Ugh.
Don't get started on my team for fantasy
Oh my
football.
God, I did not pick. I did not pick. So I picked up on waiver, football related. I picked up that running back from San Francisco, and he sat
Did
on
you
my bench.
start him? Because
He
he
sat on
did
my.
really good.
He sat on my bench. So
Oh my
I
god.
don't I don't think I was gonna win because without Christian McCaffrey, I've got nothing. But you know what? It's very possible that I could probably have eked a win. So
Oh, good for
uh,
you. I'm gonna
no,
go
it
0 and
don't matter
3.
anymore. So
Anyway,
anyhow,
on to what we didn't get to cover last time we talked.
so the title of the entertainment focused one is actually that Hollywood is so boring that we are going to go back to video games. But I guess we could start off with the one thing that popped up of Marvel studio interest was the fact that they finally pushed back Black Widow to 2021. I
And they
guess with
pushed back a lot of movies actually.
yeah,
They,
I guess with Mulan not doing well, and like was it Tenet that
yeah.
that didn't. I think it did as good as you were going to get, but it's
Yeah.
not going to be great. I guess. What do you think, Lupia? What does that signal, if anything?
Well, like you said, Tenet, and they purposely didn't release the figures on Tenet because I think they didn't want to scare everyone. But I agree with you. I didn't get it was a test for Hollywood, didn't get sort of the traction they needed. I will say not all theaters are open and not all theaters are serving food. And there's still a lot of restrictions by state, by county. So, in all fairness, it really truly was a test to launch Tenet. I really give them kudos for trying. I personally want to go back into the theater, but it has to be for a movie that matters. Tenet was just not one of those that I needed to go and pay $12 to see. No offense, Christopher Nolan. It wasn't. I mean, if Black Widow was in theaters, I might have. What's interesting is that I'm not surprised about the announcement for Black Widow being pushed out, but because of this, it's just like a ripple effect, right? Because Black Widow being pushed out means that Eternals is pushed out even further. Doctor Strange 2 gets pushed out even further. Shang-Chi. It basically ruins the whole timeline for the next phase of Marvel movies, and you have to wonder if it's going to be relevant anymore. Because Endgame um, was it for a lot of us, and it's that superhero fatigue that you hear about. But I will say that the only hope in all of this is that Dune is supposed to be coming out in the theaters in IMAX. For me, that is worth seeing in IMAX. Um, so that's something I would like. I'm 90% there to be there in the theaters for it. I just hope there's popcorn available. Because if I have to sit through almost 3 hours of a movie without like drinking or eating, it's gonna suck. But yeah, I mean, the Black Widow thing is interesting because I felt like it was coming. I don't think that it's a surprise to many of us, but it's a risk. It's a big risk because is it going to be relevant anymore? I'm not sure. However, they are pushing forward on a lot of, we talked about it last week, a lot of their Disney Plus, you know, series. So they're pushing forward on those. They are releasing WandaVision. They are moving forward on The Mandalorian too. Um, so things are moving. It's just not in the out of home experience, if you will. So I'd be interested to hear what you think, Dan, if there's anything else that I could be missing in all this.
I think they're just hedging. They're just hedging to get to 2021. The problem is
Yeah.
that to give out a bad number is a bad thing. The shareholders are at bleeding money right now when it comes to Hollywood,
Yeah.
and they strangely keep
Hollywood is bleeding. Post Malone.
yeah.
And
It's interesting that a lot of people are not taking kind of the direction that Hollywood's been pushing us for a while. Actually, I just while I was perusing through my phone, um, do you know who Hawkman is on in the DC
Yeah,
side?
I know Grace was going to cover that bit of news. Tell us
Mm,
about it.
Well, it's going to be uh, actor Aldous Hodge, who I actually liked in the TV show Leverage, but he also appeared in The Invisible Man, Straight Outta Compton, Black Mirror episode, Friday Night Lights, and Supernatural. I guess the big thing is that he's African American, and Hawkman is normally portrayed as a is he, I don't know if he's human. Is he human?
I don't know.
I don't follow Hawkman, but
Is he a hawk? I don't know.
I guess
I
so.
did hear about the John Cena HBO series.
Jesus,
He's,
why is he there?
I just had to bring it up because there were two bits of news from a DC perspective, and it was the which I thought that was funny that Grace wrote that on Twitter. And then somebody wrote a comment, and basically Grace Randolph is who I'm talking about. But for those of you who don't follow her, but basically somebody responded back, well, I guess that means he doesn't die in Suicide Squad 2. So, spoiler alert, he plays a character in Suicide Squad. We're not quite sure who he is, but it sounds like I think he's a guy that like you can rip off like his limbs or something.
Hmm.
Not Patriot Man, but something to that extent. So they're actually HBO. There's going to be a series that's dedicated to his character, and then the Hawkman show. So DC is doubling down, and now that they don't have to spend a lot of money on their own DC infrastructure for web
Hmm.
series, they can just take it from HBO Max and just peg onto that and launch it via there. So good for them. They're trying to build a universe. It's the perfect time because the traction for Marvel has come to a slowdown, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, and then also, did you know about Tinkerbell? That was actually last week. I didn't really catch this. Tinkerbell and the Peter Pan live action
No, I did
has
not
been
see that.
casted by Yara Shahidi in
Oh,
Grownish. She's yeah, so it's interesting because they're really going with the direction of how they did Ariel with what is her name? Halle Bailey. Um kind of what's the right way to put it? Subverting expectations of the traditional character. So,
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
interesting. Well, that this is the time to take some risks, and they are. I know the shareholders are going to react, so it's going to be interesting. I think it all depends on how things are next year. If we're still watching things from home, or if there's a
yeah,
vaccine and we're back in like public, and not social distancing. I don't know. There'll still be the stigma of like what we've been living in the past few months. So it will take some time, I'm pretty sure. Um, but even now traveling has become sort of something it's all about pent up demand, I think, from a business perspective. Everyone has been at home. They've been starving for something different, like in the sense of you want to go vacation, you want to go somewhere, you want to buy something, mall is closed, you want to see a movie. It just hasn't worked for movies because the movies haven't come out. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Like you said, I love that Hollywood is bleeding. It truly is. We have had to see the Emmys virtual. I
oh
don't
gosh. The clips that I saw, I didn't watch. I normally don't watch those things, but the clips were really cringeworthy.
I don't watch those things either, but like I think they tried to do a good job by hosting it from a virtual place, but then the people receiving the awards, I almost had to wonder to myself, did they know they were receiving the award? Because how in the world did they have an award to give them live while they were watching virtually? Like, no offense to Zendaya, but she won an award the guy, she was watching it virtually, and they literally had the video feed of her, and the guy in the room disappeared, got it, and gave it to her. So you really have to wonder, did she know that she was going to win? Because this guy, as part of her crew, gave her the award, the physical award. It makes you think, like, do these people know? Because typically, like, the Academy Awards, they don't know. That's why, like, Price Waterhouse Cooper, like, holds that envelope till they come to the announcement of the winner of Best Motion Picture. And they're the ones handing the envelope to the person reading who wins it. So, like, you have to really wonder if these people knew they were going to win. And maybe they do. I don't know. That's the thing. But it felt weird because it felt like then if they knew that the person had it physically, a physical, like, award, did they, like, I don't know, was this all an act? Like, was this kind of like, why did we have these awards then? They kind of knew.
They normally know who they're going to win or not.
I feel like they know for certain awards, but not all of them. Like I said, the Academy Awards is a guarded secret by PricewaterhouseCooper. They literally, like, they literally put it on there on the TV. Like, thank you to PricewaterhouseCooper, whatever company did the counting of the ballots for them.
You know, you are giving PricewaterhouseCoopers free advertising by
I know. I'm sorry.
PwC.
I don't get paid for this, but whoever is counting the tallies of the votes is the one.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so I digress. Hollywood is bleeding. That was a weird thing to watch the Emmys virtual. I felt like they tried to do a good job of it, the best that they could. But what can you do?
Yeah. So let's segue to a semi-Hollywood, semi-video game thing, because I can't wait till next year when we actually will start getting traction on movies so that I can complain about them, because it's almost like beating up a person when they're down when there's no movies coming out, no more press.
Yeah.
Netflix. Did you see what Netflix announced?
No.
They dropped a trailer that I'm gonna have to look at after this. Resident Evil, Infinite Darkness.
So it's finally out, the trailer.
Yeah,
I have been waiting for this.
Do you know who the leads are?
No, who are the leads? Tell me.
Claire Redfield and Leon S. Kennedy.
Yes.
So weird because it's like I'm so used to Leon being the old scruffy one, but this kind of looks like it's somewhat in between.
Oh, we're gonna have to do like a recap of this because it's one of the favorite games of ours, favorite pastimes.
Those two are actually my favorite, Leon and Claire. I felt like Claire got short shrifted. She just had one game, Resident Evil 2, and then technically she had a second one, but it was more like a spin-off. Yep. Oh no, the third one. Yeah, so the third
Can't forget about that.
Yeah, no, because Veronica. Yeah, you're right. My bad. Veronica is their second one, which was actually good too. I hope
Leon was the better character. I hate to say it. I'm not a chauvinist, but Leon was the more fleshed out character. Let's be honest.
And there are a lot of people that like Chris, but I think it's more of the ridiculousness of Chris being like the roided up character who could punch through boulders.
Chris and Jill, they set the tone, but Leon and Claire, really, Leon was the one that I felt like they spent a lot of time fleshing out his character, you could have developed Claire a little bit more with the whole Wesker thing, but Wesker really belongs to the first set, like Jill and the Jill and Chris. So really, what did Claire have? Sherry, and then you didn't really give me any more. Like, I wish they would have given me more of Sherry and said, like, Claire somewhat had raised Sherry in this freaking.
She like ditched Sherry.
She totally did. That's why I said no one can respect that. So Leon, at least Leon had the Ada angle, and
He was the
then
simp.
the freaking like
He was
there was
simping,
a lot
man.
more. There was just a lot more to Leon than there was to Claire, and I liked both. I like the fact that you could play both of their stories, see both perspectives, but Leon was a better story by far. No
See,
offense.
see, I think Leon had a better story in the very first Resident Evil 2,
Yeah,
but I felt like the Leon in the remake was a little bit less than it could have been.
really.
But
I
I
like I
don't,
said, I'm referring to the original, the OG
the
Resident.
OG, you're right. I agree with you. I just think that
I haven't played the remake. I can't say
uh,
much.
I played that a lot of the both, and I don't know. I kind of, or maybe because I think that Claire's slightly easier because she has the grenade launcher and Leon has like just the shotgun.
See, that was the other thing. Why did Leon get the shitty weapons? Like, why did he get the short end of the stick? Like I
You should
said,
play Resident Evil 1. Chris always got the shitty weapons.
oh god.
Like he had a
Like
flamethrower you couldn't reload. You had
who the hell can kill shit with a freaking knife? Oh my god.
oh, some Resident Evils you could. Like a Code
Yeah,
Veronica, I think
yeah,
that was
but
the
the
start
first
of the
one,
trick.
the first one though.
Oh
I
no.
mean,
Yeah, the
how
first
can
one
you kill? I mean, tell me, Resident Evil 3, can you really kill Nemesis with a knife the whole game?
I've seen people try.
Well, I
Yeah,
give them credit.
I've seen people do knife runs.
Oh,
But
we're gonna have to watch this Resident Evil. I'm really excited because Netflix is under a lot of scrutiny right now because of the whole situation. We won't delve
we
into
will
it. I
not
just want,
name that really
but either way,
yeah.
the situation. So the fact that I mean, I remember they actually announced this whole Resident Evil thing maybe either a year ago or earlier this year. So I'm glad there's still traction and that they're still moving forward with it. So
Hmm.
that is all I will say. I'm gonna have to watch it and decipher it, and I hope that they are true to the source material.
I
That's
hope
all.
so. Yeah. All right. Now that we've figured out a way
Kind
to
of segued into video games.
now because we are, as you could tell, bone dry with Hollywood news, even though we just like dropped two castings. All right. So for those who have pre-ordered Series X's, Series S's, and PS5s, kind of an older news, but Amazon is one of the many retailers saying, "Hey, we said you got a pre-order. It may not
But
actually be coming on launch." And I think it's very similar. Like we can make fun of Xbox, we can make fun of PlayStation equally on this one. I think, but my opinion is actually the real retailers kind of miscounted their allocations.
that was actually what I was going to ask you. I wanted to ask you about this because I wanted to know if there were two things going on. The first is, was it an error? Did they miscalculate the need for people to own these two systems? Did they miscalculate the demand, or is this a conspiracy? Did they purposely did they purposely not order to make it look like both of these companies didn't have enough so that the demand would increase for people like that said, well, shit, if they're running out, I'm going to order one. So I need to order one. That's why I want to know because sometimes sometimes, and I say this for both Microsoft and Sony, sometimes they create demand on purpose. It's like me telling you I'm selling you a limited edition car that there's only 20 of in the whole world. I think you would want it. Like, or if you're not a car enthusiast, it's just one of those things where it's like this is the only one of 10 and you could have it and I only have 5 of them. So like is that what's going on or is it truly a miscalculation? Like they were like, well, with COVID, who the hell has money to buy it? I'm not going to order a lot because I don't think people are going to buy these systems. What's so great about them? I want to get your thoughts.
Okay, so I think I love conspiracies, and I actually think there's partially a conspiracy here. It's the headline. It's the headline to say we sold out in 30
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
It's a shareholder thing. It's an optics thing. Great. It's these two companies have done this multiple times, so that's partially it. I think also retailer side, I think they bit off more than they could chew, and
Before.
so like Amazon probably were only given 10,000, and they decided to take 15. You know what I mean?
Mm,
That could be what it is. I think the production of the amount of units was always there. I mean, in terms of the COVID, there's always challenges because you don't want to make a lot because you like the optic headline that you sold out. Plus, you also have the like it's expensive, right? Not many people are going to
mhm.
buy a $500 device in these
Yeah,
times,
especially
especially.
now. That's why I was kind of like, someone internally had to forecast demand for the units. And that forecast could have come from early pre-orders for all you know, or it could have come from last year, which we all kind of know. Like when you think about the One X, the demand wasn't quite there, to be honest with you, because they didn't sell out in minutes. They actually had enough product in the market to suffice all the demand. So like, it's just like I said, part conspiracy, part like you said, maybe they
Well,
were,
the One
had,
X definitely had this problem that they had no games. You know, this whole narrative that Xbox has no games, which I
oh
mean,
yeah, but
technically,
Game Pass.
well, I mean,
And
they had Game Pass, it just didn't have exclusives. So, I mean, I think that's why the One X did like it had more stock than the ability to sell
yeah,
out. Um, I mean, that's fine. I think you're going to see them continue to make more anyway and produce more, and hence there's going to be more units available than people think. And Black Friday's coming around. People are going to,
also maybe they're saving it for Black Friday too.
yeah. I mean, again, it's if the hardcore is always going to wait in line, or they were always going to, how do I say this?
Day one.
They want it. We don't. I mean, I'm probably not one of them anymore. I think like we said, the first console. No, the first. This is the first console that I've bought on launch was the One X. The I think the last console this is the only other one was the Dreamcast. That was it
Yeah,
on 99.99.
yeah,
Never forget it. So with that said, we did talk about the fact that Xbox has no games. Now they have
yeah.
too many games. And now what used to be the narrative of I'm gonna steal this. It used to be the narrative of Xbox has no games that I would want to play has now become Xbox, please let me have the games you have.
Oh my God. Wow, how 7.5 billion changes a
Yeah.
lot.
It's so funny because the reactions were interesting where a lot of analysts were saying actually for 7.5 they need to recoup their money quickly. Um, these are franchises, blah, 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 blah. They said they're going to be on multiple systems. And now I think the reality is sort of setting that actually you don't necessarily buy it for 7.5 to make it a multi-plat. You, at the end of the day, are not trying to sell consoles, you're trying to sell Game Pass. And the only way to get you to buy a service is to make a game exclusive to your service, unless you buy the console and then you could buy for $70, you know, Elder Scrolls 6 or um, uh, Doom 3. You know what I
Or
mean?
you buy a PC.
Which is fine to them. Like they're willing. The interesting thing is they're willing to.
Exactly.
They're willing.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they're willing to
either
say.
way.
Yeah, I mean, like you know what? Maybe in a cost conscious world, if someone's already put a grand or two into a PC, you don't necessarily need to buy the console. So guess what? You you could just wait around, play it on your PC. You get your frame rates and your different settings, and if you feel like getting a 4K monitor, go ahead, or whatever, right? So the reason why I say that is because you sent me Olympia this Forbes article of Paul Tassi's article where titled Microsoft's plans for Bethesda on Xbox Series X seem more clear now. So it's funny you sent me this and I read this while walking, and it was just kind of funny because he opens it up saying, I always try to admit when I'm wrong And in this case, I am preemptively admitting that I am probably going to be wrong about an initial position I took when Microsoft first announced that it acquired Bethesda for 7.5. His initial announcement was that Elder Scrolls of Fallout will be on multi-plat for PlayStation as well.
Yeah.
And then so he throughout the whole article, he basically backtracks, and I'm not saying it's good or bad. I mean, if you think about it, after the shock, the sticker shock, you think, case by case basis. It's very vague wording that Microsoft have used, and then he then dives into the point about Amazon's Luna coming out, which
Yeah.
again we talked about it Friday, was that at the end of the day, Microsoft has always said their main competition in gaming was Amazon and Google. They
Yep.
never said Nintendo, they never said Sony. Where if you
Yep.
go on Sony, they'll say it's Microsoft. Because the truth of the matter is that I think I'm going to make a bold prediction, but within 10 years, if Sony doesn't jump onto the bandwagon of cloud and things on PC, I think Amazon will buy them.
Oh my God, that's freaking scary shit.
Because then can you imagine that
Because they can.
Can you imagine? Because they can.
Yeah.
Because you can, okay, and so back to this article. I mean, he just basically talks about how, you know what, it's more likely they want you in the ecosystem. They want you to buy Xbox Live, or they want you to buy Xbox Game Pass. Whether you buy a Series S, which it's actually interesting. I've heard different podcasts point out that the Series S was made for PlayStation owners who will buy a PS5 first, but don't want to pay for the expensive Series X.
Yeah.
They just want to play it. They don't care if it's graphically better. Because that's kind of like me. I paid for the One X, but I bought the cheap, thin, slim PS4, knowing that even though I have a 4K TV, I didn't care for the PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
Especially Persona 6 wasn't going to get any 4K upgrade. So I'm like, what's the point? So that I never thought of it, but that's for that specific demographic outside of the casuals who play Call of Duty, Madden, or FIFA. So I think I talked a lot on this one. I think, what do you think about the Bethesda in terms of the reaction and the retractions, as well as my bold prediction that if Sony doesn't step up to something similar to what Microsoft does, they may try to sell?
I think I like your bold prediction. I'll try to make it quick because I know we're hitting the 30-minute mark, but I like your bold prediction. I think they may buy Sony as in the gaming. Amazon has always dabbled in gaming. They have the perfect fit for it because even though their tablet isn't the greatest, it does what it needs to do, and it probably could get you into their gaming faster than using your phone. Their phone, as you know, was a dud, but they still did it because he had the money. Because he has the money to dabble in this and launch rockets into the space, he can do it. So in 10 years, if Sony doesn't figure something out, yes, he could definitely buy it if gaming is what he wants to get into. That's like a billions of dollars industry, and it's growing fast because especially because of the situation we're in. So I don't think gaming is going anywhere. It's about how you game, and it's about the experience. So, I really believe in your bold prediction. I think my only thing is if they do buy Sony, it's just going to be the gaming wing, just to get into gaming. Although, as we both know, Amazon produces its own movies.
See, that's what I was going to say. It actually fits them with many ways. And if they want to have studios for their Amazon Prime,
like basically Spider-Man, they would own Spider-Man.
There you go. Amazon could just say, F you, Disney. I got your Spider-Man. That's F you money. Disney has no money right now. They lost their theme park money. That's F you money. This is our theme of a week. F you money.
Actually, you know what? Not to go into a non sequitur, but if anyone out there watches Curb Your Enthusiasm, there was an episode about spite stores. Like, literally, this fits exactly the profile of it. Basically, Larry David's character, if you don't know, he created the Seinfeld series. he went to a coffee store, and that coffee store made coffee that was cold, and the scones were not scones, they were muffins. And he was banned from that shop because he complained about these things and wobbly tables. So he bought the empty store next to them and created his own coffee shop to fix these problems. And it spawned this whole idea of spite stores. And to your point, that is exactly what Amazon could do. They have the money, they have the bandwidth, it fits their model. I agree with you. But it all depends on what they want, like where they want to go with it. The fact that they partnered with Ubisoft, like you said, for their gaming platform, makes me so upset because I wish it was on Game Pass, but whatever. Either way, the whole ecosystem is changing. Like you said, I like what you said about the whole idea of like the Xbox platform that one, like it's for the people who just want to be casual, but they want the Game Pass, but they don't need it in 4K, and that's perfectly fine because I agree with you. Growing up, we didn't have 4K. I had I had to play Street Fighter with like the 16-bit graphics. Like,
$80 for that cartridge, man. That
yeah,
was a
so
lot of
guess
money
what?
back then.
Guess what? It's fine because I don't need it. Now, if it looks beautiful, I get it. I will appreciate beautiful games, but like you said, Persona, when you're playing it, does it need to be 4K? I don't know. I can't answer that, but apparently it doesn't need to be 4K. So that's why I say I agree with you. I like where you're going. The whole announcement of Bethesda and the retraction, I appreciate the Forbes article for being honest. And I appreciate for him because we talked about this and we talked about this on Friday that it could go either way with Microsoft, and clearly, I mean, one route we were talking about was this is 7.5 billion to say FU. And this is 7.5 billion because at the end of the day, like you said, they don't lose anything if you play it on PC or if you play it on Xbox. Because either way, you're playing it on a system that an ecosystem that they manage. They manage Game Pass. They manage Game Pass Ultimate. That's the goal. So either way, it's a win for them. If you're not playing it on the PlayStation, that's fine with them. If you're playing it on PC instead of the PlayStation, that's a win because you took the share from them. So it's actually I get where the article's going. I would have liked to see the multi-plat, but right now they might just do the FU move and then maybe gradually get into the multi-plat.
Mm.
Either way, it's still going to be available on PC because it's a win for them. Because most PCs, unless you're Apple, and we all know Apple tried to launch their own gaming system, and maybe this is where Sony goes and says, "Well, Apple, I want." Then that opens the whole Minecraft situation. So we talked about that too. So I digress, but either way, it's a win for whoever is playing it, and it's a win for Microsoft. That's the way I look at it. It's just a matter of how much of a FU do they want to make it? And if I were them, 7.5 billion, you might as well make it FU.
Mm. Before we close the channel, let's bring it back to a little entertainment Hollywood. Did you know that the Denver Broncos football team added the entire South Park cutouts of every character in their stadium to fill the seat?
No.
Yeah,
By the way, there's a new pandemic episode. It's one of the first 1 hour South Park episodes airing this Wednesday. You guys should watch it 'cause I will be. I'm very excited because no one can bring pandemic like South Park. Um, so
I'm
yeah,
just shocked that they've not been canceled. All
no,
these
because
years they've pushed the envelope. They've stood firm on what they,
not, I think 19 or 20 seasons of South Park, and you know what? I will be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of it when it first came out. I have come to appreciate it more and more and more. What upsets me is that it's not on Hulu anymore, it's on HBO Max. So I actually have to think now about HBO Max and adding it to my subscription list because South Park is no longer on Hulu.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I love South Park. They really are in a weird way ahead of their time. Um, and nobody gets that, but yeah.
with that
That's
said,
awesome. I didn't know that.
we're going to end it today, but if you like our content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications as we drop content. For those who want to reach out to us, our Twitter handle is @JustTheSith, and we're going to continue to give you our insight on games, entertainment, and Keanu. See, we didn't do a Keanu today, so
Ah,
I had to just say it.
Matrix
Uh,
4.
Matrix 4 indeed. So yeah, with that said, see you on the Sith side, everyone.
Hi.